Ivanov goes into 11th position. The last of the performers for the high bar, Flemming Solberg of Norway. Getting some valuable experience before he hopefully has done enough to impress his Olympic team selectors to book his ticket to Atlanta for the summer of '96.
And once again, putting skills on the end of routines that are difficult, but he'd be better to simplify and have done one twist and been solid, because you can tell by his landing on both his vault and his high bar, he's not quite ready for that. Nemov into an absolutely amazing lead now, 9.775, but he still has the high bar. We really can't count our chickens.
Well, Nemov now takes a commanding lead. The battle is on for second and third position with good prize money, £1,500 and £1,000 to runner-up and the third place performer. But now we'll be looking for a mistake from Nemov if he's to throw away the European Cup of 1995. He's been chased by Keki, and then there's a whole host of 3 or 4 of them, Belenki, Chabayev and Yovchev, all very closely bunched together, and they are the performers that will also look to step into those places. So the tension and the pressure continues on this 19-year-old Russian who has now led since the second rotation, and well, I don't think there's any stopping him now. He's looking, no. Like you said earlier, you picked it out nice and early, and I have to remind our viewers that that was the tip from our resident expert, Monica Phelps, that he was looking incredibly psyched and focused. Solberg drops to 16th, but it's this youngster that's the one that everybody's talking about and watching for. There's the confirmation.
Nemov in the lead, and a substantial lead as well. Chabayev, I thought he might get into the medals. Kekik hanging on in third. Belenki just on the cusp of a medal, and Charipov and Yovchev running up in 6th and 7th place. But Yovchev really seems to have fallen by the wayside, and not by performance. He seems as though, perhaps judging-wise, he hasn't had a very kind deal, I noticed, particularly on his high bar work.
Former world champion also out of it, 11th position, Grigoriy Mizyutin, one of the many performers this evening to stumble on the vault, which really has been the decisive piece of apparatus in this competition. So each performer is given a minute just under to warm up on their apparatus. This is the 6th and final piece of the evening, and we will have £2,500 cheque to present, and possibly more important to the competitors out there, the title of European Cup Champion of 1995. It's an important preparation for many of these athletes, with the World Championships in Dortmund not too far away. That's in early October from 1st till, not Dortmund, my mistake, Sabai. I should get that right. In Sabai in the first 10 days of October. And then also Olympic selection will be the next priority in the mind of many of these performers. And, well, Monica, with this performance from Nemov, certainly he's looking like a very strong competitor for a world title and to go on to the Olympic Games in Atlanta.
Oh yes, I think that he's a brilliant gymnast. I think his rings are suspect, but I mean, Mizyutin, he's on tremendous form. Says a lot for the training back in the Ukraine, because he really has been, he's a well-established gymnast. He's been competing since 88, 89 on the international circuit as a junior since about 87. So he really has withstood the pressure of an international career very, very well. He stood the pace physically and mentally, and stood the test of time, and I think that he'll do very well in the Olympics. But it's quite an exciting prospect to see Chabayev, Nemov, Mizyutin, Belenki. That's just to mention a few. We haven't even got the world champion here. We haven't got Sherbo here either. So we have some brilliant gymnasts in Europe.
And I'm sure Ivan Ivankov The reigning world all-around champion and Olympic champion Vitaly Scherbo are probably tuning into Eurosport right now. And gentlemen, if you're out there, well, Russia have started to put together their team with Nemov and Chabayev in preparation for the Sabai Worlds, and I'm sure that Scherbo and Ivankov will be back with a vengeance. It really will be a classic competition, and as always, the Eurosport gymnastic team will be there in Sabai for 10 days of unrivaled coverage of the World Artistic Gymnastic Championships, and from there we'll be off to Atlanta. So Nemov goes to the high bar in his 6th and final piece of apparatus for the evening. Charipov goes to the floor with Yorovchev. And also on the high bar with Nemov is Chabayev, the other Russian, lying in 2nd position. Keki is on the pommel. A very difficult finish for him. Grigory Mizutin, the gentleman who was runner-up up to the 3rd rotation and a former world champion, brings his evening to a close with his floor exercise.
And could he do the impossible and sneak into the medals? I didn't notice the difference, but he has done everything possible. And he really is on superb form. Landed his first tumble, feet glued together. Just as Keki did. Nice straight lift there from the planche. Floor well paced, well trained. Can tell by the tempo how well trained an exercise is. And this is possibly the best I've ever seen him on floor. Double layout. Well, he says, I might have messed up vault, but just look at me. And we did note, hopefully this is the opening tumble. No, the final double layout. And plopped it in beautifully to land, as he did the opening tumble. So that was an excellent exercise there from Mizutin.
And Mizutin, a world champion in '91, certainly starting to find some rejuvenated form with the Worlds of '95 just around the corner. There's Boris Preti of Italy, waiting patiently. Certainly starting to find some rejuvenated form with the Worlds of '95 just around the corner. There's Boris Preti of Italy, waiting patiently. But Belenki on our starting list will go before Preti. And of course it's Belenki that's looking to get onto the podium.
The 3 rotations we're dealing with now are floor, pommels and high bar. So we will either see Preti or Van Edveld. Yes, Boris Preti to the pommels. This is 6th and final rotation, and as the granddad of the competition, he really has done extremely well. 29 years old, been in international competition for a decade in a very taxing sport, and dare I stick my neck out and say probably the most taxing. Stamina, skill, speed, strength, endurance, but to name a few of the attributes required to be a top international gymnast. Yes, well done, Boris Preti, and it would be wonderful if he and Keki could be the anchor men in the '95 Olympic team. Mizutin 9-7 on the floor, into the lead, but that's only computer think because everybody else is to follow.
Evgeny Chabayev of Russia, 2nd position after 5 rotations. This is another very important performance and his last of the evening.
Yes, another one of Leonid Arkiev's boys. Kovac. Into Ginga, is doing well. Obviously, they've been told to go up and put everything in their routines, go for bust. Double twisting double. Hit everything. Couple of hiccups in artistry, but not by any means. He didn't look like missing anything. But lots of difficulty. Really, really was action-packed. And there they dismount, thumps the air with delight. And Pretty 9-2, a very, very consistent performance for a 29-year-old who's been at the top of the ladder for so long. Dan Barinka from Romania to floor. Hasn't really had an inspiring performance today, Nick. But I think possibly he's come to get into one final. Or is that knee injury causing him more aggravation? I think possibly he's had it operated on, because he only did an undershoot dismount from the high bar. Yes, I don't think that he would be nursing a strain quite the same way. Perhaps he's recovering from some surgery.
Clearly taking it easy, not pushing. He's excelled in the rings apparatus 9.550, and perhaps the one piece of apparatus where the knee is not required until the landing. But they're clearly not going for the double back layout finish, but just going for the one rotation and sheltering perhaps an injury or an operation that's not quite ready to be given 100%. Men's pommel, and Carballo of Spain. He too has had a marvellous evening. 9th position is by far the best performance this youngster's made in an international competition to date, and he will gain in confidence and experience so much from this evening, and he's really enjoying this last piece.
And so am I, and I think so should the judges be, because that was smashing. Absolutely wonderful pommel work. And I hope they give it what it deserves. I'm sure they will.
This is a very important score, 9.675. Chabayev really does put the pressure upon his Russian teammate Nemov, still to go on the high bar. Now lying in 14th position, Jurgen van het Veld of Belgium.
Good catch there on the Ginger. Notice he's short and chunky. He doesn't really lend, his body doesn't lend itself quite so much to twisting. Good full twisting double back dismount. And for him, I would think a PB. They looked as though there were lots of improvements in his work, particularly on high bar and P bars. He just had such a bad pummels. I mean, pummels is never his best piece anyway, but it really wasn't very good at all today.
Mr. Sandro, there, number 13, to the floor.
The substitute for Zoltan Sopola from Hungary, who was supposed to be performing, but unfortunately is hampered with a rather bad injury.
The fast-twitching Spaniard, 9.400, another PB for a youngster, and a new name to Eurosport, and a name that I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of. Now, let's see what the young Romanian can do. He's lying in joint 12th position in his last performance of the night.
Whip in, pike out on the first somersault. Handspring. Rudy. Really, he does look quite weak in areas when he comes to floor. Very, very wide-armed. No doubt going down into the... Oh, I thought he was going down to inverted planche. front walkout, flick, and he really, although it looked as though he didn't care, he knew before he hit the floor that it was in the wrong position for the punch front. So whilst it looked like a vote of no confidence, he was prepared for its failure. Very mobile gymnast, finished there on a double back piked, but the fall in the middle after the double twist punch front cost him dearly.
7.40, that's the worst score that Lorenza's picked up. We'll focus on the rings on Sunday. Yuri Chechi. Now Keki, I should say, lies third. The vault, his worst performance, 9.100. Needs a strong finish here if he's to stay on the podium. Third position would earn him 2,000 Swiss francs.
And Pommel's not his best piece, in as much that this is the piece he's least suited to physically. But he's so tenacious mentally that I'm sure he'll get through it. His legs buckled at first, but very, very strong. Good spindle there. Nice. Oh, strong. Travel good. So far, so good. Beginning was a little bit negative. Nice spindle up to handstand. Oh dear. Little bit of a hiccup at the end, but as ever, sells himself to the judges right to the bitter end. I didn't make a mistake, did I? Look at me. But he... Jürgen van het Veld, 9.15 for his high bar. I'd be very pleased with exceeding the 9s in this field of competition.
Demjanov working our way down to the leader. Nemov, Croatian, comes into the last piece of work this evening, lying in 11th position.
Kovac, double back somersault to catch. Full pirouette to eagle. Double twisting double, and very well executed, I might say. Knew exactly where the end of the twist was and where the end of the somersault was. To plop to the floor like that is not just good judgment, it's good management.
Nestor Sandro goes into 6th position. This is another very important performance to decide the podium placings. Jordan Yovchev of Bulgaria. Now, he's found himself dropped down to 6th when he's been lying in the top 4 from the beginning of this competition. So he'll need to dig in deep and provide the judges with something quite special if he's to climb back onto the podium to bring his competition to a close.
I think he's a fine gymnast. He seems to have been underestimated to me. I couldn't see why the Norwegian boy got 8.75 and he only 8.85 for their high bar work. I couldn't understand only the 10th difference. Full in, back out. Yes, I think he's a gymnast of quality, and he'll continue to do well. I look forward to seeing what he does next year.
Well, that graphic confirms that Keki has moved from 3rd to 2nd position. And now we wait to see whether Nemov can cope with the pressure. We have to watch Ivan Ivanov first, who's not really contending now. He, like many before him, stumbled on the vault and hasn't really been able to re-find his self-confidence or focus for the rest of the competition. And again, another error. Starts almost from a standstill.
But of course they've got the chance of qualifying for the individual apparatus finals, which are held on Sunday after the women's all-around tomorrow. So they've got 2 bites at the cherry in one competition.
Almost the enthusiasm seeping out of Ivanov. Dempianov goes into 6th position, 9.400, consistent throughout. This is another promising youngster that we've been following this evening for the first time on Eurosport television, flying very proudly the Belarusian colours. Now Rudnitsky, 7th position, needs a 9.5 and above.
Oh, that was very high Kovac, wasn't it? He left go marginally late, but it shot up. But purely because of the power from the bar and his slightly early release, he underestimated the kick out. Had he been able to extend earlier, he would have slowed down his rotation and he possibly might have plucked in on top of the bar.
Well, definitely put this youngster's name in your notebook, because this certainly is not the last we've seen of Vitaly Rudnitsky.
Well, there's another one just to prove he can catch it anyway. Into the endo, into inlocate. And the same dismount that he did from rings, in effect, but there it was an inward movement, so it gave him a reverse action from the bar, double somersault pike with a half twist.
3rd position for the Bulgarian Yovchev, which means that Keki still holds on to that 2nd spot. Flemming Solberg, the young Norwegian, he's down in 16th position.
He really is giving it everything, this boy. Straight front, full twisting front to open. Half in, half out. Handspring Rudy. It's a 1.5 twisting front somersault. But by half turning out of it, he really advertised that he couldn't work out of it. And it wasn't a solid landing position, and you just can't kid the judges. It would have been better that he didn't fall into the half twist out of it to prove that he could anchor the landing. Double back tucked. And his day over. And other than the first minute of competition, he's done extremely well. Ivanov, 9-3 on his last piece.
Now Valery Belenki puts down his last challenge of the evening, and this also could be a podium-placed performance.
It's one of the most difficult pommel horse routines. Just look at the intricacy of the hand change on one pommel and the travel that he had at the beginning. Travelling while in spindle and then into the scissors. Really a magnificent opening section Belenki produced there. Oh yes. I think that Nemov had the sparkle, but Belenki definitely had the difficulty in the opening section of that exercise.
That could be enough to put Keki off 2nd position into 3rd. Belenki therefore taking runner-up spot. 7th position for Rudnitsky, the only Belarusian. And here is the performance of the leader. Oh, he's off! And he's thrown it away in the 6th and final rotation. He's had to watch Belenki and Keki digging deep. And the pressure has finally taken its toll on the 19-year-old Russian, and the frustration, well, clearly shown.
And if Keki has held on to second place, oh, poor thing.
Well, Italy may have the dream end to this European Cup final after all, but what a disappointment for the youngster who's been so composed till that mistake.
Well, that's given him... That tells a lot about him, because his coach, I mean, if I was to be coaching him, I'd be furious, because he has obviously been through this routine before. Falling once is pressure. Falling twice is giving up, really.
Well, now, a tragedy for Russian fans is just pure disappointment. Number 15. The concentration, we thought it was uncrackable. The crowd still behind him, which is nice to see. It's a young head upon those very powerful shoulders, and perhaps the inexperience finally showing when it came to the end of the line. And he's got it.
He's going to repeat it all. Oh well, not to be. And I wouldn't like to be a fly on the wall in the Russian camp with Leonid Arkeyev tonight.
The composure's gone. Brave, brave finish. And good to see the crowd in full appreciation of this youngster who's kept us on the edge of our seats throughout the competition. But right at the end, Monica, it's all gone. Now let's see some very important results. Flemming Solberg goes 12th. We are awaiting the score of Belenki to see whether he has gone ahead of Keki to take first or second position. It's now either a German or an Italian victory. Rustam Sharipov, he's in 5th position, just behind Belenki and Keki. So, well, who knows?
Double layout. And when we saw that Ivankov wasn't in the start list, we anticipated not such an exciting competition. And it really has been so exciting, even right up to the end, because Sharipov, brilliant gymnast, and with a good performance, he could push somebody out of contention in the medals. Frantically trying to do our arithmetic, but we can't take our eyes off the action. Finishing there in a double twist punch front. But we really are missing some scores for us to inform you exactly where we stand as regards the medals. But we do know that Nemov...
And there is the result. Sorry to interrupt, Monica, but that confirms that Italy have been given their dream results. The hard man from Varese, Yuri Keki, has claimed the European Cup of Gymnastics in the artistic form for 1995, right down the wire. And the final performance of the evening will be by Frédéric Nicolas of France, not in contention for the podium placings. Belenki has gone second, and it looks like Yordan Yovchev will now take 3rd position. We'll wait for the official confirmation, because we haven't seen the score of the high bar performance of the leader throughout the competition, Nemov, but we will wait and see.
And well, difficulty, inexperience, but this is where they learn, competing against the men, because the high bar really does sort the men out from the boys. And in the final analysis, experience generally counts for medals, and poor Nemov didn't have the experience. He'd never been in that pressured situation before. He was so far ahead, all he had to do was get through his routine, and he just did not believe in himself. But that is an extraordinary experience for him. He's been through that. He'll know how to handle it in future. But his demise was Keki's success, because otherwise he wouldn't have had a chance of bringing the gold medal back to Italy.
Well, quite a pensive shot of the crowd there, who haven't still been given the confirmation that the local boy has claimed it. But Yuri Keki has won an overall title, and we've gotten so used to seeing Yuri claim the apparatus rings gold or trophy, but he's now, for a change and for a long time, claimed a major overall title. Not perhaps the most exciting and dynamic, but consistent hard work, and that really is the style. We're waiting to see who has claimed third position, as are the crowd.
Well, all in all, the competition really did have its ups and downs. We started off with a head-to-head, Belenki, Nemov and Misutin, and then Misutin fell from vault and the competition reopened in Nemov's favour.
So, Italy's Yuri Keki, Russia's Evgeny Chabayev, and Valery Belenki. We're still waiting for Chabayev's score, so we cannot give you the exact confirmation of the 1, 2 and 3. Hopefully we'll get it up on the screens. Frederic Nicolas goes into 13th position, 9.200 for his high bar routine. A very Roman affair, the prize giving. But sadly, we haven't received a Chabayev score, and we cannot confirm whether his score is enough. Charipov is 5th, 9.100 for his floor exercise. And Chabayev has taken it from Belenki and Keki. So Belenki and Keki, mistakes on the graphics, our apologies, it's a Russian victory. Sad news for the Italian fans. Valery Belenki is 2nd, Keki is 3rd, Yovchev is 4th. Well, a few mistakes and errors on the graphic calculations throughout the competition, but the sad story is Alexei Nemov, 9th position for Russia, having led from 1 to 5. There is Yuri Keki, still happy with his 3rd position. We thought he'd claim top honours, but a slight mistake. That's all we've got time for. We'll be back tomorrow night from 7 till 9. From Nick Fellows and Monica Phelps, it's goodbye for now.
The Artistic Gymnastics European Cup was brought to you on Eurosport by France Telecom, official partner of gymnastics.